Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're really stripping away the varnish.
Oh, absolutely. We are getting right down to the cold, hard facts.
Yeah, we're looking at a text that claims to tear down these, I guess, fairy tales we've all been fed about romance, loyalty, and what actually drives human attraction.
It's a heavy one today.
It really is. And I have to say, if you are someone who believes that just being yourself and, being a nice guy is the key to a happy life, you might want to brace yourself.
Yeah, because we were reviewing Women's Nature, What Your Father Failed to Teach You by Conrad Riker.
Right. And right off the bat, I think we need to set the stage for you. This is an ultra-long, incisive guide. It's not for the faint of heart.
No, it's not. Riker positions this as a full-on red pill manifesto. It's a survival guide for men.
Because he argues the world has become completely gynocentric, right?
Exactly. Focused entirely on the needs and whims of women.
So it's essentially the manual your dad should have given you to understand the hidden rules of the mating game, but he probably didn't know them himself.
That's the core premise, yeah.
But before we even get into the meat of this, and there is a lot of meat today, I want to ask you, the listener, to do us a quick favor.
Please do.
If you enjoy these deep dives, if you want us to keep exploring these controversial, hard-hitting topics that the mainstream just ignores, please hit that like and subscribe button right now.
It really helps us keep the lights on and keep bringing you this level of analysis.
And if what we discussed today resonates with you, or if you feel like you've been navigating a maze without a map, Riker is very clear.
You need the full manual.
Yeah, you need to go to Amazon Kindle or Google Play Books immediately to buy the ebook.
He frames it as an essential investment in your own survival.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're going to objectively look at what Riker is presenting here. His core argument is that most men are operating on a software update that is like 50 years out of date.
The blue pill idea of romance.
Right. While women, according to the book, are running on evolutionary biology that hasn't changed in 100,000 years.
And that brings us to what he calls evolutionary arithmetic.
Which is the big aha moment. What is he actually saying here?
So the central thesis is that women are not wired for the kind of unconditional loyalty that men are taught to expect. Riker argues that women are biologically designed for hypergamy.
Now, I know that word gets thrown around a lot online, usually as an insult.
But Riker uses it strictly as a scientific term.
So let's clarify that for the audience. When he says hypergamy, he's not saying women are greedy.
No, he's saying they are optimizers.
Optimizers.
Right.
It means the drive to always mate up, to seek the best possible genetic and resource option available. The book uses a ton of evolutionary biology and game theory to explain this.
Because historically, mating down was a massive risk.
A literal survival risk. For thousands of years, if a woman mated with a low-status male who couldn't provide or protect, she and her offspring could literally die.
So the argument is that women don't fall in love with kindness.
They fall in love with capability and status.
Yeah.
Because their biology demands it. And he doesn't just pull this out of thin air. We should note he leans heavily on David Buss's cross-cultural studies.
Oh, he really lingers on the Buss study. He treats it as the smoking gun.
Because Buss studied over 10,000 people.
Across 37 different cultures. We're talking a universal baseline from modern cities to rural villages.
And what did the data show?
It showed that women consistently rank ambition and financial prospects higher than kindness.
Wow.
Riker's insight here is that for thousands of years, kindness without capability meant starvation.
So the female brain is hardwired to find the nice but broke guy repulsive. Not just unattractive, but actually repulsive.
Exactly. Which reminds me of the anecdote in the book about Dan.
Oh, Dan. I think every guy listening knows a Dan.
The construction worker?
Yeah, Riker paints this picture of Dan as the ultimate safe bet. He remembers anniversaries, he coaches the stepkids soccer team.
He fixes the sink without being asked.
Right. He is doing everything society told him a good husband does. He's the quintessential nice guy. And then he comes home to find his bags packed.
Because, as Riker puts it, he became utility. He became predictable.
And the guy she leaves him for is wild. A guy with a gambling problem and a Tesla.
It's brutal to read, but Riker argues it's just biology in action. The Tesla guy, despite his massive flaws, signaled variance, status, and a touch of danger.
Well, Dan just signaled boredom.
Riker even calls the classic breakup line, "I need space," a hostile takeover notice.
Meaning she isn't just leaving.
She is vetting a replacement.
Man. And this leads into the biological aspect of ovulation, which is where the dual mating strategy comes in.
This part really challenges the idea of monogamy as a natural state for women.
Yeah, he cites the Gangestad and Thornhill study from 2004. This is a crucial piece of data.
They found that women in committed relationships are significantly more likely to fantasize about dominant, high testosterone men during ovulation.
Not their safe husbands.
Exactly. Riker points out that when she is most fertile, her body isn't craving the safe provider. Her body is craving the best genetic material.
So she wants the provider for 3 weeks of the month, but for that 1 week, she wants the alpha.
Riker calls it dual mating. One man for security, another for genes.
And that brings us to the concept of the monkey branch.
Risk management at its finest.
Right, the idea that you don't let go of one branch until you have a solid grip on the next one.
The book argues that women are serial monogamists who optimize for upgrades. They rarely leave a relationship into a void.
They leave when the upgrade is secure.
They are constantly scanning the horizon.
Which transitions us perfectly to what Riker calls the mating matrix,
Yeah.
because he applies this evolutionary theory directly to the digital age.
He talks about the portfolio approach.
It honestly sounds like he's talking about investment banking, not dating.
It's a highly economic view of relationships. Riker claims women manage a diversified portfolio of men to hedge their bets.
Break that down for us.
Sure, you have the provider who pays the rent and the bills. You have the orbiter who gives attention and validation.
These are the guys liking every Instagram story.
Right, he calls them emotional tampons sometimes. And finally, you have the upgrade.
The potential new mate she is tracking.
Exactly. And this ties directly into situationships.
I feel like that term was literally invented just to confuse men today.
Riker would say it was invented to exploit men. He views situationships as a way for women to extract resources, dinners, emotional labor, protection, without giving any commitment in return.
Maximizing yield while minimizing risk.
If she gets the benefits of a boyfriend without the title, she keeps her options open for the upgrade.
He goes really hard on social media too. He calls Instagram an auction.
A liquidity test.
Oh, liquidity test, yeah. When you look at how validation works online, it's hard to argue against his logic there.
He argues that when a woman posts a thirst trap, it's not for self-expression, it's to see what the market demand is.
She's checking her stock price.
Precisely. He mentions a 2023 Stanford study claiming that a huge percentage of women in relationships still swipe on dating apps.
Just to see what's out there.
Riker argues they aren't necessarily looking to cheat tonight, but they are stress testing their current partner against the open market.
To see if they can get a better offer.
Yeah.
That is terrifying. If you're the guy sitting on the couch thinking everything is totally fine.
You're being audited and you don't even know it.
And that's why Riker places so much emphasis on the concept of frame.
If you don't understand frame, Riker says you've already lost the relationship.
Okay, let's really unpack frame. We hear this word constantly in the manosphere and red pill circles. But what does Riker specifically mean by it? Is it just being stubborn?
No, it's much more subtle. Frame is the emotional atmosphere of the relationship.
Like, whose reality are we living in?
Exactly. Riker argues that men must control the frame, or they will be discarded. If you enter her frame, if you become reactive to her emotions or try to appease her changing moods, you lose respect.
And once respect is gone, attraction follows. Now, this connects to the vulnerability trap, which I found really counterintuitive. Because everywhere you look today, society tells men to open up, be vulnerable, cry, show your feelings.
Riker says absolutely do not do that.
He is very firm on this.
He warns that male vulnerability is repulsive to women because biologically it signals instability. It signals the protector cannot protect himself.
He tells that story about Ethan.
The guy who was ghosted after he admitted he was stressed about making rent.
The moment he showed fear, he lost his status. He wasn't the Rock anymore. He was just another problem she had to solve.
So he's saying that despite what women say they want, what they biologically respond to is stoicism.
But there's a mechanism for how they try to break that stoicism.
Okay.
The section on the weaponization of tears.
The science here is fascinating.
He digs into the biology of tears, claiming they aren't just saline water.
Right, they contain a chemical called prolactin.
And when a man smells this,
It acts as a biological stand-down order. It literally saps his testosterone levels and reduces aggression.
chemical warfare.
That's Riker's exact term for it. It forces the man into a caregiving mode and entirely bypasses his logic.
So you're ready to stand your ground, you have a perfectly logical argument, she cries, your testosterone drops, and suddenly You're apologizing for something you didn't even do.
It's a biological override switch, and when you combine that with neoteny,
The preservation of childlike traits.
right, it's an incredibly powerful toolkit.
Well, we have to talk about the baby voice. I think every guy listening has experienced this at some point.
Chapter 9, The Feminine Mystique.
You're in the middle of a serious argument, you have logic on your side, and suddenly she does the voice. The pitch goes up an octave, the eyes get wide.
And suddenly you're the bad guy. Riker calls that weaponized cuteness.
It triggers male instincts to protect children.
It hacks the male brain to bypass logic and grant resources.
So what's the counter move to all of this? If biology is being used against you, what does Riker actually suggest?
He talks about the Iceman protocol.
Strategic indifference.
He cites studies claiming women are more attracted to men who withdraw interest or go silent rather than those who chase or plead.
So what does holding frame look like on a random Tuesday night?
Riker says it means not catching the emotional ball she throws at you.
Just letting it drop.
If she's chaotic or testing you with drama, you don't scream back and you never apologize. You stay the Iceman.
The unmovable rock.
The moment you start yelling back, you've entered her chaos and you've lost the frame war.
That feels like a dangerous game. But I guess his point is, it's a game whether you know you're playing or not.
Exactly.
Now, let's talk about the squad. The female friendship delusion. This part was extremely cynical.
Or realistic, depending on your perspective. Riker argues that female friend groups act as intelligence cells.
They rate and rank men. So the best friend isn't just a friend, she's a spy.
Essentially, yes. Riker asserts that female friends often encourage breakups with lines like, "You deserve better," just to keep their friends in the dating pool.
He calls it collusion.
And if a high-value male enters the picture, Riker claims loyalty to the friend group often evaporates completely as they compete for him.
But conversely, if one woman is happily coupled with a normal guy, like a Dan,
The single friends might sabotage it to drag her back into the single market so they don't have to be alone.
the idea that your girlfriend's best friend is an intel officer reporting back on your behavior is wild. But let's zoom out a bit.
Sure.
So you're navigating this minefield of biological tests and social sabotage. But Riker argues that if you survive that and get the ring on her finger, you aren't safe at all.
You've actually just entered the most dangerous phase, the institutional trap.
Right, because he doesn't just blame biology. He spends a lot of time analyzing the history of our institutions before they were captured by feminists and Marxists.
He calls it the gynocentric lie.
And he talks about the wall and the motherhood mandate. This is the girl boss lie, right?
Yes. He warns about the biological clock. He argues that women are told they can have it all career first, family later.
Which he calls a trap.
He cites harsh statistics on fertility dropping off a cliff after 35 and the high failure rates of egg freezing.
He argues that women who prioritize careers over family often end up bitter and alone, and then they blame men for not stepping up.
When in reality, they price themselves out of the market.
And he extends this to the legal system. This is the stuff that really gets the blood boiling for a lot of guys.
He brings up paternity fraud.
The statistics on this are insane.
He cites a staggering stat. 32% of men who demand paternity tests find out they aren't the biological father.
Yet, in many jurisdictions, if you've signed the birth certificate, you are still on the hook for child support.
Riker argues the system doesn't care about truth, it just cares about finding a wallet to pay for the child,
And then there's the Duluth model regarding domestic violence.
which essentially assumes male guilt by default in any domestic dispute.
Riker argues the family court system is entirely rigged to extract resources from men.
Through alimony and child support, while protecting female autonomy at all costs.
He describes modern marriage as a contract, where one party is incentivized to break it for a cash and prize payout.
It's a bleak picture.
It is bleak. So let's look at the board here. We have biology working against us with hypergamy and ovulation shifts. We have the legal system working against us. We have social media working against us.
But the book is called a survival guide.
Right. So what is the prescription? How does a man survive the mating matrix?
Well, Riker's advice is not to hate women. He's very clear on that.
He says hate is a wasted emotion.
You need to see the board. And the first step is value escalation.
Explain that, because
Yeah.
it sounds like he's just saying get rich, but I think it's more nuanced than that.
It's about trajectory. Riker claims women are attracted to the slope of the line.
They want a man who is ascending.
You need to be constantly building your value, physically, financially, socially. If you stagnate, you die in the marketplace.
You cannot be Dan.
You have to be the guy who is always becoming something more.
And we talked about holding frame earlier, but he also talks about onitis.
This is a massive concept for the red pill community. Onitis is the obsession with one specific woman.
Thinking she is your soulmate or the only one for you.
Riker advises rejecting this completely. You should never fixate on one woman as your only option, because she likely has backups herself.
You need to have an abundance mindset.
If she senses she is your only option, your value plummets.
And finally, his rule: lead, don't serve.
The book concludes that women want a leader, not a servant. Men must reclaim their sovereignty.
Riker argues that the modern push for equal partnership usually leads to the man becoming a subordinate.
Because he cedes ground just to keep the peace. Riker says you must set the direction of the relationship.
You drive the car, she is the passenger.
If you let go of the wheel, the car crashes.
It's a very stark call to action for men to stop being passive and stop apologizing for their masculinity.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, Riker's ultimate message is that the world is not fair, and nature doesn't care about your feelings.
The red pill isn't about anger.
It's about clarity. It's about survival in a marketplace that views men as utilities, as success objects.
It really forces you to ask yourself Riker's final provocative question.
Are you a player in the game, or are you just inventory?
That is the question you need to mull over. Are you a player or are you inventory?
And for anyone listening who feels like they've been playing by rules that no longer exist or rules that were rigged from the start, you really need to read the source material.
We've covered the high-level concepts today, but the tactical advice in the book is incredibly dense.
We've only scratched the surface.
So if you want the full breakdown, the complete survival guide, you need to buy the ebook Women's Nature by Conrad Riker.
Check Amazon Kindle, check Google Playbooks.
Do it today. Stop flying blind in this market.
And for the really uncensored analysis, the stuff that might get banned off other platforms, you should follow the author at Conrad Riker on Substack.
That's where the real unfiltered conversation is happening.
Highly recommend checking his Substack out.
That's it for this deep dive. If this episode woke you up, if it gave you that red pill moment of clarity, share it with a friend who desperately needs to hear it.
Like and subscribe to the channel.
We'll see you next time. Stay sharp.